Hello everybody, long-term viewers of the channel will, I'm sure now, be very familiar with my title cards, featuring my lovely channel sponsors, Dodo Juice, the cleaning product company, CarVertical, the history checking service, and CRG Diagnostics. I'm sure a few of you have sat there wondering, who are CRG Diagnostics, what is it that they do, and why have you never mentioned them? Well, in today's video, we're talking all about them and what they do. And I believe this is a very important video, well worth your time, for two reasons. First off, this is critical safety-related information. Secondly, I promise you, I am not going to try and sell you anything. And I know I can keep that promise because they don't actually have anything to sell you. But regardless, you need to know what it is that they do. As of 2022, all cars on sale must now contain some form of ADAS system. That is the catch-all terms for functions that we're now mostly familiar with. Things like lane departure assist, active cruise control, and automatic braking. These are important systems that many of us now rely upon. But what happens if they don't work properly? I would wager that most of you have either experienced or heard a story of a car that was driving along and suddenly decided to try and stop for no apparent reason, or that mistook a 30-mile-an-hour sign for an 80. On occasions, this can simply be a failing of the software, but it can also point to something slightly more sinister, and that is where CRG come in. And you may be the sort of person thinking, well, James, I don't drive a fancy car, a new 911, an S-Class or a Range Rover. This surely doesn't apply to me. Well, if it doesn't now, there's a very good chance that in the next few years it will. While I'm here, a big shout out to Approved Performance, who have very kindly offered the use of their showroom for filming today's video. They have provided the background material, and I have to say, it all looks pretty good. There's some very tidy looking cars in here. Anyway, back to the humble Hilux. And this most workmanlike of vehicles is packing tech that would have been the preserve of top-flight luxury cars less than 10 years ago, but now is here. So you've got 360-degree cameras for all-round visibility, parking sensors, front and rear, lane departure warning, active cruise control, and of course, collision avoidance as well. All of this is lovely stuff, provided it works. Unsurprisingly, in order for all of this technology to work correctly, it has to be precisely calibrated. This will of course happen at the factory, but during the course of a car's lifetime, there is a lot that can happen to it which can throw this alignment out. And the car itself is rarely intelligent enough to know when something is a little bit wrong. It will tell you if a system is completely disabled, but it isn't smart enough to be aware that things are just slightly off. What is it then that CRG do? Well, in a nutshell, they are reprogramming and ADAS calibration specialists. This is a trade you're going to hear a lot more about in the coming years. It can be a matter of millimeters or even less, which is enough to throw these systems out of alignment. Now, in some cases, this may simply manifest itself as a picture on your screen that doesn't quite line up anymore. But in other, more severe scenarios, you could have a car that will no longer brake or accelerate when you expect it to. All right, James, very handy, great information, good sales pitch, but how would I know if I need the help of these people if it isn't particularly obvious? Well, I shall quote from CRG's own brochure. When is ADAS calibration required? Where repair, service or maintenance of any of the following is undertaken. Your ADAS sensors, including camera, radar and LiDAR, that's a technology we're seeing a lot more of now, replacement of any sensor or sensor control unit, any parts likely to affect the operation and functionality of the ADAS sensors, including the removal or refitting of brackets, mountings, any paintwork or body repair that may be done, and whenever a vehicle's geometry is changed. In other words, if your car's had a knock, or even if it hasn't, you've had some routine repair work done, say a replacement windscreen, you need CRG, because if there are sensors and systems in these parts of the car, they need refitting and recalibrating properly. CRG was in fact born out of a realization that there were many body shops out there still running things in a very 1990s fashion. So, car came in with a damaged front bumper, they take it off, repair it, repaint it, stick everything back roughly where it was before, and put it back on the car. Job done. Only with a 2022 car, job is not done, because there are a whole host of systems in here that may no longer be working correctly. As it would appear that both car designers and drivers have become increasingly reliant on these systems, it is terrifying to think that there are people out there in these cars with no idea whatsoever that they aren't working properly. Case in point, car designers now love putting huge blind spots into their cars because presumably they think it's all right, everyone's got a blind spot detection system now, it'll be fine. Well, it will, if it works. What we have here is a mock-up of just some of the things that CRG do to recalibrate and set up a car. So, on the floor here, we have a mat which is used to calibrate the 360-degree cameras. That talks with this, which in turn talks to the car. Unsurprisingly, manufacturers have yet to agree on a universal system for calibrating and configuring all of this stuff. So, in order to do the job properly, you require a whole host of different tools for different marques. So, this kit here and here is Toyota and Lexus specific. This piece is for setting up the radar system over here. This is for calibrating the view ahead camera. The coding side of CRG has now come about to complement that business, as an increasing number of components in cars now are specifically coded to a particular vehicle. Even things like the steering rack, which you wouldn't possibly think could be configured and calibrated or have any sort of electronics in them. But they do. This, I believe, is in aid of trying to prevent people from distributing stolen parts. So, by making sure that your part is properly calibrated and coded to the car, not only will it work, but you'll also know it isn't stolen, and more importantly, the manufacturer will then be able to verify that the part fitted is correct, suits your car, and they will update their own system saying that this part now lives in this car. So, if further down the line some investigation work is done, nothing will seem suspect if it is correct. Now, I'm sure there are plenty of you watching who already knew all of this, in which case, good for you, gold star, help yourself to a goldfish on the way out. But I'm sure there are also plenty of people that didn't know anything about this, and this is important stuff to know. Please share this video with everybody, tell them about this stuff. If you've got a car going into a body shop for whatever reason, and it has these systems attached to it, ask your body shop, is there somebody that is familiar with how this stuff works to make sure it's properly calibrated, reinitialized, and set up properly? There are many conceivable scenarios where a car could go in for work that shouldn't really affect any of this stuff, but improperly treated, it can have a really serious impact. And certainly, if your car has suffered any type of accident damage, it is a requirement that you get this stuff properly checked over. It's absolutely vital this stuff works as it should. And if you're on the other side of the fence, you run a body shop, you do the repairs, you are a potential customer for CRG, because these are the people that can help you make sure that whatever you return to a customer is in the correct working order and functioning as it should be. Anyway, a very different flavour of video today, but I want to say a big thank you to CRG for not just sponsoring the channel, but also helping enlighten me on what I think is a very important topic. Thanks again to Approved Performance for lending me the background, and of course to you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye.